We started in a very ordinary farming village. Every day was the same, it's not a big deal. A boy was fishing when a girl called him, asking if he was free. When their eyes met, it was love at first sight. The child wraps himself in the words, a little uncomfortable. Lisa gives him a smile, making it clear that she wanted to stay on his side and change some ideas. If they don't bother you, while introducing themselves, the child has a lump, they sit and talk a little. Apparently she was a girl whose father had died. Then the mother thought it was better to return to that village to create Lisa, after a while traveling. His father was an adventurer. Adventurers are explorers who discover new lands, which is obviously dangerous. For our protagonist, being adventurous was not fun, as he did not want to risk his life. But I was fascinated by the story of Lisa's father because, of course, like every child, stories of heroes attract attention. The time they spent together was happy. It started as a childhood friendship, but as they got older and closer, it turned into something more. Where they met, Lisa declares that she decided to go to the Salmon Academy. Apparently, she wanted to follow in her father's footsteps and become an adventurer. After a break, the boy says that he is going with her. Lisa asks him if he is serious and mentions what he should think about the family. She was right. Being the only son of a farming family, it was logical that he inherited the job. He said his father was probably going to be against it. After thinking hard, he declares that realizing the dream of the girl he loves is more important. He thrills her, asking if he would really do it for her. Him. Red with shame, he seems determined. She sheds some tears, says she is very happy and thank you, jumping into his embrace. They kiss, but the loud ringing of the school bell brings the child back from sleep. His name is Nomo Gandes and he has been at the gym for 2 years. The country had been in chaos since the demonic invasion, and to prevent this from happening again, the school was founded in a joint effort of all the leaders of the continent to train young people. Anyone can enter, regardless of their social position. Everything is decided by the grades, so effort and talent are what count. And those who graduate have a guaranteed and comfortable life. But if he starts to fall behind, it's treated like a match. Nzumo has been at the top of the class, but now everyone is watching from above. It is true that there is no social class discrimination. But everything there is decided by the notes shown on the magic name plates. He had the black badge, the lowest of all. It constantly moves, and provokes to be weak, even intimidated to give up, as it measures the image of the class. He can endure everything quietly, control and sit in his place. Suddenly, he is called more Dickens, a repeated guy who lives with the quarrel with whom he can make fun. Since he is not the weakest, he becomes an easy target. March gets upset because the muta doesn't ignore him. Other colleagues sneaking in, poking at him for being abandoned by his childhood friend. In a fit of anger, Mars, tired of being ignored, kicks his chair, attracting the attention of the room. Ozomu still does not react, even when Mars tries to hit a blow. The teacher enters to ask the reason for the confusion. But he says he was just giving some advice because it's pathetic. The teacher tells him to return to the place, but he responds, calling the teacher Denino, and sending him to silence. Teacher refutes that if it's weed, imagine how rubbish the student is, but replies that being a black-level teacher for so long must have driven him crazy. Before sitting down, Mars looks at him, looking disappointed, taking control. The teacher sends Mars to go to his room after class, and the lesson begins. Apparently, magic in this world is the manifestation of mental power. By training the mind, you can manifest magic with varied effects, either to strengthen yourself or to influence the world. You can use specific items to create spells to help in the battle. Magic that affects the environment using multiple elements is called ritual magic. Tomorrow's class will be about that. They will experiment with different catalysts to produce certain effects. However, the master excludes Ansomu, saying that it would be a waste of time since he barely has any magical affinity. He replies lightly that he wants to go anyway. The teacher allows, on the condition that he is on the side, and does not disturb others. This generates laughter. He cuts the cheap saying that they are also black dishes, so it's not a big difference. Compared to the soft, the red-haired princess is flying loudly. Being her boyfriend, he was the center of attention and had to be upstairs, but he couldn't. With no experience in fencing studies, I didn't have the same approach as her. The requirements were too much. That's why he fell behind so quickly. But I never gave up on you. Even with difficulties, he had friends and a girlfriend willing to help. He wanted to strengthen himself, to keep his promise, to be with Lisa's side, and support her. But it doesn't matter anymore. Something happened to him. Out of nowhere, his skills crashed. It could no longer evolve, as if a block had been placed. And with that, people started mocking and mistreating him because he's weak. Only Lisa continued to be by his side, devoting the time to training, hoping that he would improve. She valued this time together. Then he struggled even more. In the first year at the gym, they were even closer. But out of nowhere, it's all over. She coldly said that they had to stop, that it was useless. He said goodbye and left. Nozomu did not understand anything, as he never showed frustration, always supporting. But it didn't stop there. There was a false rumor that he had betrayed her. He defended himself by saying he would never do that, but no one believed. She, known as a red-haired princess for beauty and skill. And he, a failed future. Of course, when the rumor spread, he was treated like garbage, friends turned their backs. And the bullying has become routine, now with Mart and others beating him up. Some even left for physical aggression. He tried to talk to Lisa, but received only a cold look and contempt. Still, he didn't give up. He continued to study and train until he fell with exhaustion. I just wanted to keep the promise. One day, returning to the bedroom tired, he saw something that finished him. Your girlfriend laughs and clung to another guy, no less than her childhood best friend. Ken, who was at the beginning of him at the beginning, grew absurdly and outgrew him. Gentle and calm, he participated in the training with Lisa. When the rumor spread, he allegedly comforted her broken heart, and, as expected, started dating soon after. At first, Nozomu was destroyed to see her smile like that next to him. Even in training, they were unbeatable together in mock battles. It was clear that he had no place in her heart. Another day. Blackplier students prepared for training battles. The use of chi and magic was allowed. Chi is the energy that increases movements and physical strength, while magic requires divine power. To his disgust, Nozomu was paired with Mars. He was grateful for a heavy sword. Although the uniforms were combat, some students wore extra layers of armor, such as Mars. Naked, however, I would prefer not to use to maintain speed. His weapon was a katana, coming from an island country, when it was used at most. He can even cut steel bars, but it's rare and unusual in the gym. It's his only advantage since he can't count on magic. Then focus only on the technique. Mars makes him say it's a waste of time to fight him. At the teacher's sign, the duel begins. Mars bets on the weight of the sword, while it can not only defend and deflect. Seeing a violation, there is a hard blow, and he tries to counterattack, but Mars predicts and strikes. It does not reduce the time, but it takes another hit. He blocks at the last second, but backs off. Both move forward exchanging quick blows. The fight is heating up. They seem balanced until Mars pushes and carries the key, which increases the physique in exchange for vital energy. He gets involved in this energy and appears in the blink of an eye in front of the naked, attacking. Unable to stop the impact, they narrowly deviate. Destructive power is absurd, but it already modifies another attack. Do not try to stop as you can, but you begin to be overwhelmed. Even pressing, however, he cannot go on. In a final blow, Mars breaks his sword and throws him. Despite the effort, fighting without magic against someone like that was useless. He loses consciousness. She wakes up in the schoolroom, used to physical and emotional pain. Thanks to Dr. No for taking care of him again. She says it was nothing, that she is there to help all the students. Suddenly, Henriard, a teacher from class 10, enters without winning. She asks him if he's okay getting too close. He asks her to withdraw, awkwardly. The doctor says he has only a contour and a slight concussion, but soon, the bell plays, indicating the end of classes. Thank you both and Sal. Henry stops and asks if he's still going to the forest. Worried about him, she does not confirm his suspicions. She says that it is dangerous, that even gentlemen have difficulty getting in there. He suggests that maybe it was with other students, but before finishing the sentence, he makes sure that everything is okay, and says goodbye. Annoyed at being ignored, she throws a tantrum like a child. All this started because of a skill that emerged in his heart last year. What are skills? These are special powers that can arise in any creature. In the case of Noah, the ability is suppressed, something rare, that does not provide an advantage. On the contrary, it keeps a lot, and disturbs a lot. Although he can manifest magic and chill like anyone, in his case they are extremely limited, causing a permanent debut compared to anyone. Every time he recovers, Naki goes to the forest alone, and comes back all broken. Henry thinks it's just a mental block, and is determined to insist until he breaks it. She admits that she can't help but remove what is holding him, but in the technique, she can give some touches. He is not a swordsman, but comments that at one time, even quickly, he almost did not surpass the opponent in technique. But Heisei at the same time says that it was even scary to watch. The doctor agrees, saying that he is much more competent than an ordinary student, and just needs refinement. Besides having a very well-trained body, you can see that he has undergone a great workout by the marked body, which saddens the doctor. She confesses that sometimes she thinks about dropping the job because of it, thinking that he has already reached the limit, and that he did not need to force himself so much. But he wonders if there is something that only he can conquer alone. The forest he frequents is deep and dangerous, where some live or collect resources. But it also houses powerful beasts, capable of causing deaths and disappearances of those who are not careful. Inside, he appears training with another person. She desires him with a blow and throws him to the ground. He tries to get up, but receives a sword blow from above. He gets sidetracked using the Yes Instant board, a magic that propels the user to an almost impossible to follow speed. She reacts at the same time, and prepares a quick cut, saying that it is very slow. She throws a ghost sword of ki. Attack made of dense and compressed ki. Simple, but that cuts through anything easily. Difficult to see and fast. He is very versatile, they exchange blows. He doesn't ask if she's trying to kill him. She replies that if that was the case, she would have made the moment she left her body open, trying to deviate. It stabilizes and unbalances it again. Instead of retreating as before, Noel tries to counterattack, but she predicts the move, ad in front of him, and holds his sword on the ground with his foot. Out of the fight. The woman. His secret teacher is called Sino, a drifter who has been training in the forest since before the city existed, rushes to ask for a rematch. She scolds him, saying to reflect on the mistakes and use it to find gaps in the enemy and finish the fight in seconds. He says that only she has reflections to react like this. She replies that everyone is capable, criticizing his half-mouthed effort and saying that it is natural to anticipate the movements. As it was late, they finish the workout and she tells him to get food. He keeps the sword, head down and runs. Even fair, if he doesn't feel he has improved. Her first date was when she saw him training alone in this dangerous place. He was pale, lifeless, with peeling hands and swollen joints, losing his steps with each blow. Very well nourished and exhausted, he was forcing himself to commit suicide. She said that it was useless to train in such a state. He said later, losing his girlfriend, and respecting everyone, and still having her abilities, that was his last hope. She commented that it must have been brutal to make him so desperate. Those dead eyes reminded her of a starving beggar on the verge of death, that she met when she left the hometown, and couldn't bear to see him. Such a little boy. At that time, the demonic dogs attacked, moving their arm. Although weak, they could kill if they got unprepared, and he was helpless. It looked like he was going to die, but otherwise he did not leave it. He said that if he wanted to die, it was after mastering the sword. Since that day, a year and a half ago, he has become a monster in training. He learned the phantom blade well, a strong condensed cut that flies at the enemy. Although basic, mastering it makes it deadly. In Zeno's hands, he cuts the iron like paper. In Somo, it is not so strong, but its accuracy and density are comparable. Even with sealed skills, he is far above others in technique. But the gym focuses on improving existing skills, so it's natural to always lose. To compensate for the disadvantage, she taught to focus on technique instead of chi control. First of all, he was going to gain physical strength, if he wasn't dragged down by any opponent. The core is broken. It is obvious that he trains crazy to escape from who he is real. She does not condemn him for wanting to escape. But he says that would bring more problems, something that she has lived through herself. Therefore, all the knowledge that has been accumulated has gone to him, and he hopes that when he leaves, he will be able to break its currents. Running, he hears a threatening sound, and decides to investigate. He was fine. They were demonic bears. You need several experienced adventurers to take one down. Ordinary soldiers have no chance to someone like Naked. It would take 5 of them to win, but the opponent was just a girl. She slams her eyes into the bear, blinding him, and then pierces his straight heart, killing him. Nozomu had seen it before, the same series as him, but in a much higher position. They called her the Midnight Princess because she had hair as black as the night sky. Her name was Iris. Taking on another bear was a theme, a powerful wizard who has already surpassed gym teachers. She casts devastating wind magic, destroying the bear. He was known as the Fort Winds, the Midnight Princess, and the most powerful scary mag, both at the top of the gym. While not admiring his strength, a roar comes from the bushes, another bear. We're not jumping to attack, but Iris was already ahead. She uses the immediate conjuration, a unique ability that allows us to cast magic without enchantment. Luzomo also has a card up his sleeve. Throws a phantom blade, cutting the bear in half, along with the tree behind it. They are both surprised by his entrance. He himself is not impressed, because he knows that they are far above power, with their suppressed abilities. Everything you do is weak. While thinking about her own flaws, Iris thanks him for his help, and asks him if he has been hurt. Her beauty leaves him speechless. She thanks them for keeping them safe, leaving them uncomfortable. Iris formally introduces herself, insistent, embarrassed, hides behind Iris. The princess apologizes for her friend's way, explaining that she is shy, especially with men. No one says they don't care. Iris asks who he is. By appearance, he looks like a student from the gym. This makes him anxious. He is infamous as for and fears that he can change his attitude in an instant. He thinks about hiding the identity, but it would be a lack of education. Remember that the Iris comes from a noble family that directly serves royalty. Then he swallowed pride, and says that he is Nobentis, a 10th-class student. He is preparing to be judged. But Iris just continues the chat. Asking if your group is nearby, like a 10th-class solo is uncommon. He stands still, not believing her neutral reaction. Look at the subject, he seems to have recognized who he is. But Iris does not show anything, she just waits for the answer. He says that he is alone. Which surprises both of them. He adds that no one wants to work with someone like him. Iris finds it strange, saying that few have the ability to survive there. She asks what he is doing in the deepest parts of the forest. You are, and he says that he came to training, and that, however small, he will continue. Because it does not mean that he should give up and die. This leaves both alerts, creating a strange silence. Iris apologizes for offending, and also apologizes for being rude. The child asks what to call her. She says that just going is good, since they are both students, and do not need formality. He accepts, and then asks why they are both there, as it is rare to see students wandering around in that forest. She replies that they received a quest from the guild. He explains that there was a sighting of a dragon. In this world, dragons are legendary creatures of immense power. And they say that one day they ruled all species. It is also said that if you kill one, you receive its power. But the records of meetings and victories over them are restricted to the history books. Nowadays, the closest you see are skeletons. And that's why no one took the rumor seriously, but still, the case needed to be investigated. The disc will be conscious. Iris mentions that if the rumors are true, she is not even allowed to face one. The child respects this posture to the floor. She says that he may have a bear to sell or use, as thank you for having helped them at a critical time. He politely refuses, but agrees to take some meat. Iris notices that they are returning to the city and asks about it. He says he's only coming back tomorrow. She thanks again for the help, and Tima also thanks, timidly, from Iris's back. He replies that it was nothing, and wants luck. After he leaves, Iris asks Tima why she is so cautious this time. Tima says that he is the boy who allegedly betrayed Lisa, and is a womanizer, and that rumors say that he just wanted her body. But Iris maintains neutrality, saying he doesn't look like the guy who would. She just doesn't see it in him. He suggests that if he gets a chance to meet again, he will apologize for any rudeness. Dime agrees. Meanwhile, Naki returns home, but finds an especially cranky Chinese, charging the reason for the delay, like a jealous wife. She feels that he could have been a girl with a girl. He doesn't understand the reason for the anger. She drops him on the floor, the act showing jealousy. The next day, she doubles her training, cuts a luxurious room. Iris is lying on the bed, remembering the meeting. She praises his form, even with his mithril sword. She doubts that she can match him in technique. He launched the attack at this moment compared to her. She remembers that when they said goodbye, he was not even still towards the city. Staying in that forest is suicide. They are the ones who want to die in this. Even trained scouts and agents would have a hard time with the demonic beasts loose there. She smiles thinking about him. Iris was very interested to know what kind of man Nomugantis is. The next day, we go back to the gym. He doesn't like being around a lot of people, so he decides to eat away from their eyes. There is not much money that survives with what I do in the forest. Attracted training in the morning with your teacher helps nothing in the recovery of energy. While having lunch under a tree, he notices a girl who seems to be a student of ECLO, an auxiliary gym school that trains talented children from the very beginning, usually around, to develop John's special skills. He mentally comments on his short stature. She seems to be curled up with something. He does not decide to help, call and ask if everything is okay. Turning around, she is identical to someone she thinks she has seen. He asks what he is doing, and she explains that she was playing with a cat named Sado, but he stole her bracelet and climbed up a tree. He begs the cat to come down. The tree is difficult even for him, but, as he spent most of his time in the forest, climbing is his specialty. An essential skill to escape from monsters. He confronts the ferocious feline, but ends up with his face scratched. He can let it go, but takes another scratch on his hand when the cat comes down, overthrowing his lunch in the process. The cat looks victorious. He says he will make him lunch. They are in a cartoon dual mood as the girl looks on confused. Suddenly, the branch breaks and they both fall. The cat on the girl's lap, Inuno on the floor. She asks him if he's okay as he writhes in pain. The bracelet is intact. She thanks a smile and presents herself as a syllable. He also introduces himself and asks if he can call the Somia. She accepts encouraged. It's the first time for a long time that someone has thanked him. Her smile is enough to soothe his wounded heart. The bell plays, interrupting the moment. Soma says goodbye thanking him again, and runs out, and with that he loses his lunch. Later, he looks at the side class. Today's lesson is about magic circles, which completely depend on the magic ability of the caster. They are not very inept at this. But, on the other hand, he is competent in Chia and magic at a high level. Usually someone is good at one or the other. But Mars is one of the few that balances the two, being a rare case of 1 in 100. However, it is unlikely to use both at the same time. The students are impressed by his skill, even though they are a black plate. Due to the suppression, Nuno participates in magic classes. Try to compensate for the frequency, as it takes a long time for training alone, just to maintain appearances. And not have negative notes. The more skilled in magic, the more advantages the gym offers, so high-patent students receive the best equipment in missions, which further accelerates their growth. In the movie they are ours in a simulated battle, his next opponent is just smooth. He's shocked. There is a chasm between high and low-level students, and I was encouraging to never find it. It's been a year since they saw each other, since the promise of the future they made. Naki P the fight with pain in appearance. Without warning, Lisa moves forward with incredible speed. Iris reacts by throwing ghost projectiles. Lisa easily rejects and prepares an attack. Iris stands firm, not shaking, while Lisa keeps the pressure constant. Lisa's mastery with the sword is evident. Nu starts to worry about the Iris. In an instant, she counters, using skills without having to cast, combining physical and magical attacks, a lethal mix. Her sword looks enchanted. She tries to arrest Lisa with the magic of the chain, but Lisa is easily undone. It really is a top versus top fight. The battle is getting more and more intense. After a while, Lisa Requa imbues the sword with fire magic and unleashes an attack at the level of the wind vortex. Iris carries the sword, preparing to defend herself. She cuts off Lisa's attack, neutralizing the students. And to Temen, they marvel at the confrontation. He wonders how they can be so strong. When the smoke clears, Lisa asks how long Iris was preparing for that attack. Iris replies, "From the very beginning, from the pressure, Barbara from Lisa, made me concentrate on the combat. Otherwise I would have hesitated. Lisa takes it as a compliment and leaves. Meanwhile, Iris reflects on the situation of being dating the ex's best friend, decides not to judge. As you don't know well, but think about the last attack. It usually takes 10 seconds to prepare, while in Soma you can do it in a moment. Thinking about it, seeing him from his corner and waving, blushing. He ignores her, lost in his own thoughts. Kem offers a recovery potion and a distraction strip. While watching other battles, Iris asks Timo what he thinks about the naked ability. Meanwhile, he leaves the gym. Seeing Lisa again opened old wounds, remembering that even with every effort, you can get stronger or move on. After weeks of fighting with his father to get into the gym, to the point of being disinherited, nothing has changed. She tried to ask Lisa where she missed it, but she only got a disgusted look. It is riddled with unanswered questions. Why do you have to be like this? The heart can't take it anymore. In the last year, he plunged into training as a way to cope with pain. That's the only defense I have left. He knows it's wrong, but he thinks he needs to discipline his emotions right now. A shadow that runs and adds almost colliding with it. He joins the cat, but loses his balance. He holds her before the fall. The cat always prepares by running away. He solved this, he tries to leave, but Tommy calls him. She asks if she can see him tomorrow. He misses the question. She explains that since this is the second time she has helped, she wants to come back and talk more. This is the first time someone has offered to be with him without ulterior motives. But he thinks twice, since she can undergo the same treatment she receives. In addition, you need to train with the teacher. She appeals with a puppy dog look that he can't refuse. Accept, on the condition of lunch. She gets radiant and takes off excitedly. He can't even answer, his energy. At night, he adds magic without much success. She wonders why she can't be like her sister. At that moment, Iris enters. She is the older sister and realizes that she has difficulties in a spell. Among the 4 elements, light and darkness are the most difficult. Then Iris casts a light magic called Torch. She teaches Sony how to release the magic and keep it after she has conjured. Although her element is darkness, Iris can easily throw others. Sonia follows the instructions while her sister watches. Iris notices that her sister has been more lively lately. Ask if something good happened. Sonia says she made a new friend. Iris wants to know what it's like. Sonia says he has a sad air, as if something is bothering him, but he is really kind. He says that seriously. He helped to retrieve the bracelet that the cat had taken to the tree. Soma noticed that he seemed worried about what others would think if they saw her talking to him, but she knows that he has a good heart. Soma returns the question to Iris, who says that she also met someone interesting. She remembers the painful expression he made when he saw her struggle against Lisa. He looked so broken. Soma comments how funny that someone like this could have piqued Iris' interest, as she didn't seem to be the type who would have a decent conversation with her. Iris recalls her first date with him, saying that his technique would be enough to put any swordsman she knows in the slipper. He adds, fascinated by this revelation, he wants to know more, but Iris remembers that it is late and tells him to go to sleep. The younger one complains because he is being treated like a child, but in the end, we are not willing to obey. As he watches her climb, Iris notices her sister's especially small size. Sonia was born prematurely, which eventually led to the death of her mother during childbirth. With her loss, Iris had to create her sister alone. It wasn't easy. From the age of 6, she understood that it was her duty to assume the Frank family as an heir. With heavy training and studies, he overcame all obstacles to meet expectations. He was never interested in romance like the other nobles of his age. He climbed to the top, and today he is at the peak of the class. He worked every fiber in his body to get to where he is. And that's why the existence of not intrigue her so much. How did people come to your image? Everything points to the opposite. Who says that the opposite never gives a direct explanation? This kind of situation forced him to overcome himself, to try to change something. His efforts are written on the body full of battle scars. Iris wants to know what kind of training produced an attack like that. The next day, Soma complains as he was treated like a child by his sister. He says that she is only 10 years old. After all, she did it too. The youngest mentions that the sister is a sophomore, the same class as Noah. She asks what life is like at the gym. He answers without certainty, as it is just a black plate, the lowest level. Soma smiles, saying that he is like her, even with his sister better at everything, he still tries. This surprises her, who says she must be very strong to think so. Soon after, she notices Sadhu scratching her bracelet, and asks about the object. I add the account that it was approved by generations, and symbolizes the day when everyone will gather. The sister gave her birthday as a reminder that they will always be connected. Comment on how precious this is. Immediately, ask when his next birthday is. She replies that it is soon. The father lives traveling, so he can't go, but his sister will have a big party this year. She is very excited. Naked has fun with her way and suggests lunch together, but she says she will have lunch with her sister. Out of nowhere, Iris appears. She adds happily, jumping into his arms. It looks like the new friend the younger one talked about is Naked. Iris asks about their relationship. Sonia says they share the same last name. Only Aina realizes, late, that the bracelet was not an ordinary commoner. Adding this to the fact that he said that his sister is the same year as him, in addition to his appearance. He is mentally punished for not having noticed earlier. While he sues, Iris invites him to have lunch with them. Thinking about his reputation, he does not meet and refuses, but Soma insists, pulling his hand. Iris realizes that she does not like public places. He confirms, saying that there are too many people. So he decides to eat in a little frequented place. Sony accepts as long as it agrees. During the meal, she notices a dog sticker on Iris' bag. When she asks what it was, he says that he just noticed something unexpected about her. Sonia reveals that her sister loves dogs while she prefers cats. Iris is moody because she tells him such an embarrassing detail. A debate began to cats versus dogs while in the sun watches. Without warning, she asks how they met. They answer that it was by chance when they killed a demonic beast at that time. Suma, surprise. I would never imagine that the person the sister admires so much was him. Iris praises him for saving Tima that day. As Soma is impressed, he rejects the compliment, saying that he is still the weakest student due to the suppressed ability. Iris continues to not understand how she managed to create a blade like the one of the lower class. He does not explain that such an attack, if directed at a person, would be fatal, which is why he does not use it in the gym. Moreover, in the current state, I could only use it once or twice before it ran out. How can you use either? She asks why she doesn't join a group. He says no one wants to join him. The weather gets heavy until the Iris cuts, that you don't need to be strong in combat to enter a group. Your knowledge of the forest would be useful. He asks her to explain. She replies that he went straight to the bush after leaving them. Which means you can spend the night there. In fact, this is thanks to Zeno, a kind of adventurous dragon, whose shelter is one of the safest places there. Even so, he has already spent countless nights camping, only by master's order. Iris asks why she doesn't get her own group together, suggesting that maybe it's because of the end with the suavity or hostility of other students. Feeling vulnerable, you don't react well to this line of questions. This awakens bad memories. Realizing the discomfort, the Iris guarantees that even without knowing the truth, he is not the guy who blindly believes in rumors. Unsure, he does not say goodbye, and also apologizes to the Soma, going to the forest. Iris explains to her sister that she didn't understand anything. How he is mistreated. She herself does not understand how someone like him can be excluded. I just wanted to know better who saved your friend with such a powerful blow. But he saw in him a deep distrust and insecurity that exists only in the hearts of the party. I wanted to say that I didn't believe the rumors, but it was the first time someone was rejected by someone. I didn't expect it. Admit that you might have talked too much. Soma suggests apologizing at the next opportunity. She agrees. As he walks away, a part of him wants to come back to hear what he had to say, but he decides to bury the thought and avoid the pain. Lisa wasn't the only one to give up on him. Friends, who left him without hesitation, only worsened the wound. Walking without realizing where he is, he enters Lisa. Some confront him with hatred, while his former best friend greets him. A whirlwind of painful memories hits him. He gathers courage and tries to respond. But Camilla excluded him, the first friend who abandoned him when the rumors began. Lisa asks what he wants there. He has tried to prove his innocence to no avail. All he wanted was to end the misunderstanding, but since no one listened to him, he gave up, sank into his own darkness, and began to focus on mental recovery. I just wanted to talk to her again. Which showed your biggest mistake. She looks at him coldly, sending her not close. He says he can't even look at him, and he goes out of the way and doesn't come back, his face writhing in pain. These words destroy him. He stands still, broken. She adds that if he does not leave, he will simply go there. He looking dead. When she leaves, until Camilo pushes him and insults him, he has no strength to react. His old friend looks at him and also leaves. He runs through the forest. She spent months fighting the urge to self-structure, but after finding Iris, then, Lisa, everything went up. I don't realize it's at the bottom of the forest. The compass is faulty. This bad area can be called safe, full of demonic beasts. He decides to set up a shelter and wait for the fog to pass, trying to put it back together. But something strange catches your attention. When checking, he is blinded by a light. Suddenly he is in an open field, far from the city. And then a gigantic dragon appears out of nowhere. It could not be, after all, a creature that existed only in legends. Without warning, the dragon reverses against him with an absurd destructive power. He doesn't narrowly escape. He throws smoke bombs to deceive, a weapon he usually uses to escape the monsters, but the dragon lets out such a powerful roar that he throws it. Apparently, he can overthrow humans with a scream. Soon after, he throws a burst of fire directly at him. For a moment, all the sound disappears. The crater the attack creates could swallow up the entire gym. I wore it in a bad way and took a recovery potion. Just Divert is already exhausted. The creature uses spiritual magic, which is not something that can be used. It needs no preparation and is instantaneous. The situation is desperate. All his items were destroyed. And, as if that wasn't enough, the dragon throws him against a wall with a simple goal. Your life passes through your eyes, the good ones and the bad ones. Lisa, her Chinese teacher, Henry, Noon, Sonia and Iris, about to be crushed, thinks that in important moments, she can never do anything. At the last second, Shino appears, berating for being careless. She has faced many magical beasts, but against a dragon king, even she becomes apprehensive. From what they say, Tiamat, which was 5,000 years ago, was sealed by his own kind as punishment for devouring his own. Nuzomu is really unlucky to cross such a being. Seeing that it is bad, but he plans to act as Talo so that the child runs away. He questions what will happen to him. She says it's him or her, then throws him away and orders him to run away. His refusal serves no purpose as he advances, firing a phantom blade. As expected, it does not seem to have an effect. In response, the dragon lets out a shower of packages of magic wings surrounding him. With a single blow, it cuts off several rays of light. Using a loose psyche, destroy them. But the waves of packages seem to have no end. He even uses the sword sheath to fire she attacks, but his energy isn't even close to the dragon's. It was just a matter of time until I finished. Even at her peak, she is sure that she would not survive. Gradually, he begins to lose control. Extreme tiredness erases your 5 senses one by one. He concludes that he must be dying. At least he thinks he managed to save the disciple. Still, he feels an emptiness in his heart. It seems that she softened up after spending so much time with the child, as he believes that he went well. He is interrupted by Nomu's voice calling her. This strip of the trance had not moved. She tells him to get out of there. Without stopping, the dragon fires another shower of ace. Counterattack, but with his special ability. The light destroyer, the sheik he sends to the floor, creating an area of effect that destroys everything he comes into contact with. She uses as a wall to block the bombing. Among all your skills, this is the strongest and strongest range, but it does not last long. The shots make a beeline for no. There was no escape. The child suffers a fatal blow and is thrown to the ground. Your body starts to shut down. The air gets heavy with the presence of death. This is by far your most painful experience. And so, the blood loss begins to decrease your brain functions. He can't even have one last flashback. The cruelty of reality falls on him. He doesn't want to die yet. This rejection awakens something inside him. Your cold heart breaks, wishing to live. When someone chooses to erase all excuses, and the desire to escape from this cruel reality, only the desperation of wanting to live. With a wild scream, he breaks the currents that arrested him for so long. He lunges at the dragon, which carries a fiery attack. But his awake state gives him enhanced reflexes. The blow simply passes a phantom blade. With a thinner and sharper chi than a straight hair in the eye of the creature, does not pierce much. But finally, the dragon suffers damage. Like any living being, it protects the sensory organs. The dragon falls to the ground, causing an earthquake. The ground gives way beneath him. There is no time for recovery, moving forward non-stop. Pointing, the Dragon King prepares more destructive, desperate packages. If he does not launch his light destroyer, paving a way in the bombardment, he does not cross through it at a speed that, even if he has not already reached. Annoyed, the dragon starts carrying something to erase the two. He seemed to want to destroy the whole world he was trapped in. Suddenly, a colossal seal manifests itself on him. This place seemed to have a mechanism that suppressed him whenever he went crazy. Do not take advantage and invest against the throat of the Dragon King. He shoots a ghost blade here on a close, destroys scales, and reduces the wing on Tullio. Without stopping, cut the exposed meat, moving deeper and deeper. The dragon cries out in pain. He tries to shake it, but I can't. No Somo concentrates towards on his free right arm, and improvises a light destroyer, channeling it to his sword. This explodes the dragon's head, along with the connected nerves. They both fall to the ground, as if victorious. The Dragon King's remains begin to emit energy as they disintegrate. Suddenly, this energy shoots out and surrounds her, without her being able to deviate. Then we are transported to another kingdom. At the vigil, looking down, he sees a dragon's eye looking at the Dragon King Tiamat, arrested in the same way as him. When you wake up to reality, ask if it was a dream. He is greeted by a worried Chinese. They face each other until Monster screams, getting a well-deserved hit. The teacher says that he was unconscious for 3 days, although to like the minutes. Noting that if he did not take care of him all this time, he apologizes for the comment and thanks for treating his wounds. She's pouting, which has worried him, but she's happy to see him well. He, ashamed to have someone like that by his side, asks if she is okay too. She says yes, a little exhausted to spend so much chi. He feels relieved. She changes the subject, saying that she needs to talk about her current state. The Kina becomes serious and Nozomu gets ready. First, he confirms that he defeated the Dragon King in the sealed world, which explains the change of scenery when he found him. Although the legend of the dragons was already incredible, the history of the sealed world is even more. He's curious. But if you don't say that this is the subject of dragons, not of them. Still, he actually killed Tiamat, absorbing his power, becoming a dragon slayer, a being whose last appearance was centuries ago. These warriors inherited the immense strength, superhuman abilities exploitable for magic, figures worthy of fairy tales. He is not astonished, but throws his katana at him, and pulls his own sword. As if to prove it, he tries to block, not relying on reflexes, but he can, to his own surprise. As predicted, his physical abilities increased after absorbing the dragon. Until now, they have had to refine their technique to compensate for the suppression of 11, but this difference is now smaller. Even so, it was not so strong, the suppression still weighs a lot. She comments that he seems to have broken this limitation when he fought the dragon. Remembering the fight, the currents manifest themselves again. It seems that only he can see them. But he never heard of anyone who could suspend his own ability to suppress, even temporarily. She asks what he intends to do now. He doesn't know how to respond. She says that now she has no reason to get stronger. He has already reached the apex. If he uses a ghost blade against a doll, anyone will know that you should not move with him. That would only keep him from being despised. There is no reason to continue in the gym. The speech he wanted to support the girl he loves is just an excuse. And she doesn't even love him anymore. It's time to face reality and give up. He resisted contempt training, but over time, the reasons have become distorted. Becoming an escape from real life. The fact that he never tried to reconcile with the root of the problem shows that he lives trapped in the past. But he says that you cannot decide for him, that you must choose yourself, but for now focus on recovering. 1 hour you will be forced to make a decision. He reflects on the conversation. Until she calls him. He wonders what else it could be. She hugs him and welcomes him, praising him for the fight. This almost made him cry. Now he understands the dark circles, the breath of the breath. She took care of him all this time, worried. He responds by saying he's back. After a while, He fell asleep in her arms, with tears in his eyes. She would never imagine that this child would become the first dragon slayer in centuries. He packs it up, sure that the mind and body need to rest. She wonders how much mental use she has endured, remembering her own past. Sino was born in an island country in the Far East, the second daughter of the family that developed the famous Mikagura style. His talent came early, thanks to intense training since childhood. He followed the path of the sword, even though he was ridiculed. He had the support of his father and the encouragement of his mother. Her older sister has always been loving, and was by her side. All his battles ended in Vittoria. He received praise and even rewards from the most important noblemen in the country. Then the sister presented a young man to China as her disciple. Then they fell in love and got engaged, with a noble status, strength, honor, and a good marriage in sight. I was at the height of happiness, but that was short-term. A false accusation of adultery ruined the ceremony, and, with the evidence forged, the engagement was cancelled. Of course, if he did not claim innocence, but no one believed. Less than a year later, she found out who framed her. Her own sister, pulling her hair, screaming that she would never allow him to take everything to herself, and make her lose everything. That he would never let her achieve happiness. That there was no place for her in the family. She knew that no one would defend her or save her. Looking with disgust at the hair that had been torn, the older sister said goodbye to the younger one. Looking at the last nail in the coffin, saying I would have a wonderful life with him. Soon after, Sino left his family without saying a word, abandoning his home, his country, everything. Finally, he came to that forest. Avoiding any contact with other people. She and Nomu were terribly similar. Both were abandoned in the same way. At first, she hated how he reminded her of herself. But now, although he gets lost in thoughts, the sharp pain has traveled through his body. His exhausted chin did not recover. On the contrary, he went and disappeared. She was bound by the sleeping sickness of death. Whoever suffers from it is losing what along with the vital force until he dies. They say it exceeds the limit of what can cause serious damage to the life-sustaining core. With a bitter cynicism, he comments that nothing goes the way we want in this world. Although there are some cases of recovery, the cure is still unknown. She says there are many other things she would like to talk to him about, as well as sword and fighting techniques. He acknowledges that it's typical to act like this, but he has one last thing he needs to tell her. And he will use all his power to achieve. A week later, they arrive in the city, with Chino accompanying Nozomu after she recovered. Lately, she had been acting differently. Instead of disciplining him with insults or martial arts, she was stumbling over words and trying to show a more caring side. The first time I visited the city, the boy offers to guide her. With a form, she comments that he needs to return to classes, as he was a wolf for a week, and this can give a problem. They combine a quick walk. Chino's eyes shine with admiration for what she sees in the city, and in Somu, she remembers that, the first time of him, it was like this. Soon after, they arrive at the school. Thank you, listening to the bell that marked your delay. She says that it doesn't matter if she's late or not, since she spent a week for justification, and mentions that she still has something to say after classes. He is surprised, he wonders what else he could possibly want to say. She insists that he will see her later, since he is already late. He complains that it was she who held him, with a melancholy look. She says that it is a pity not to have her disciple to guide her, and decides to go around the city. Fortunately, his absence was not very condemned, no one touched the subject. And so the morning ended. But the same could not be said of Henry, who accused him harshly, demanding explanations. The boy says that it was not a big problem, and blames that he recovered from an attack by a forest monster. She insists, asking for more details. He makes up another excuse, but Henry doesn't believe it. Ask why you didn't at least contact the school. He says that the fever was worse than he thought, and that no colleague cared to see how it was. He feels bad to lie. But he couldn't tell the truth that Henry starts crying because Nomu doesn't trust her. Try to remedy the situation. But she says that she has noticed her excuses, and that the smell of medicine on her is not sold in the city. He thinks that this is the kind of dangerous woman who makes a man open his heart and reveal all the secrets. And she does it even involuntarily. He comments that this approach for her is pure evil. Meanwhile, Iris has accompanied lunch. Your sister asks if she managed to solve with no. Chima does not understand, and the girl explains it a few days ago, while talking. Certain things happened. This makes the friend even more confused. Iris admits that she hasn't shown up at intervals because she's been waiting for him at the entrance, but she's been absent lately. She wonders if he came today. Tima thinks what kind of person she must be to make Iris care so much about a man. Shyly, Soma asks if his sister can invite Noah on his next birthday. Iris says it's a private party. But Sonia insists, saying that she helped to get the bracelet back and wanted to pay, adding that it seemed only by smiling. She does not know about his circumstances, but for his friends, she wants to make him smile, even for a moment. Iris agrees. Soma doesn't know his past, you can imagine how cornered he was. The older sister started just out of curiosity, but after seeing her effort, she felt empathy. Therefore, he was frustrated because he could not clear up the misunderstanding between them. Iris decides that she will fix her relationship with him, and then formally invite him to her sister's party. Sunny thanks you with a beaming smile. Dima also approves. With the classes returning, Henry, a teacher, looks at Anna with irritation who ignores her. She usually helps in class and intervenes when necessary. High-level students usually have several assistants, low-level only one. In the afternoon, practical classes begin, and at the end, simulated battles. To his bad luck, his opponent is again Mars, who mocks his bad luck. In Somu, he almost recovered, with only a little discomfort. Your movements are stable. The only difference is the newborn power, which he thinks he can release whenever he wants, but decides not to use it, feeling that something inside him may break if he does. He also remembers the words of a teacher, so far he has not used any skills in the gym, and believes that this power should not be used against humans because something can go wrong. But now, with more control, do you think you should try? With no time to decide, the fight begins with Mars advancing on her with increased force. Light and firm, and does the same. Mars attempts a descending strike, but quickly repositions the attack. This surprises Mars, allowing that Ha left no room for a counterattack, an elbow strike to the stomach, followed by a knee to the face. Mars goes into full fury, forcing Noah to retreat. He carries a dust-wind blade, a girl attack capable of breaking objects, increasing the speed and strength of the cuts. Naked does not give in to pressure and deviates from the sequence of blows. He can predict 2 or 3 moves ahead, but it's understood. How does someone who once defended himself clumsily and predictably now move like this? The boy thinks that under the ability to suppress, he could never deal with a downward blow, even strengthening that. He says that in the current state, he can defend himself without losing his posture, all thanks to becoming a dragon slayer. Now you can fully apply the techniques learned from your teacher. He smiles, finally being able to fight as he wants. Knowing her suppression, Mercy asks how much training she didn't go through to be able to defend herself like that. He does not accept. He does not anticipate the attack. He jumps back and makes Marses reach the floor, kicking up dust. Desperate, he throws a vortex of wind to clear the field, but you lose sight. Unknowingly, he approaches Naked from behind and prepares a phantom blade. When he shoots, Mars tries to get ready, but it's useless. He feels the blow to cross. Fortunately, the signal marks the end of the class. Mars feels defeated. As always, on dismissal, Henry goes straight to the forest, keeping the promise made to the teacher. Mars looks at him and reflects on what happened. Finally, he admits he could not keep himself the way everyone treated him, but they hated him even more, since he never reacted. Being kicked like waste without resistance. This was the kind of person he despised the most, but he wasn't reacting to his form, getting stronger without anyone noticing. He did not imagine the effort necessary to overcome the limits of an unprecedented capacity for suppression. He only used it as a distraction, but now he recognized his progress. Soon after, we follow Iris, who goes directly to check after classes. She decides to wait at the door, not so that they do not match. His guess was correct, but he was a little late. She wonders why she was in a hurry. Do not think like someone who has never been to the city to suddenly become interested in visiting it. On top of that, asking to see it immediately. Something was strange. She assumes that the fight with the Dragon King affected her. She greets him warmly and invites him to drink. To say that he is not a man to refuse an invitation from a beautiful woman. He accepts and deduces that she is not good with alcohol. She pulls him to sit on the side, almost breaking her arm, to retaliate the physical attack, throws a psychological one, correcting him. Beautiful woman for the former pretty. A well-deserved slap is needed. They start talking, and if not suddenly, he starts talking about the past, and how he still loves his family. Asking questions about nudity, even about things I already knew, a mundane conversation. She thinks that so far they have only communicated with swords, never facing anything different. I couldn't imagine having such a nice conversation again, and in the past I avoided it. He had no right to complain, but he still valued his incompetent teacher. He thinks that if he had been born a few decades later, he would like to live next to her. They regret that this cannot be achieved. Without warning, he announces his last lesson, confirming the suspicion of no, a serious battle to the death against him. Suddenly, they teleport right in front of him, aiming at his neck. He swerves at the last second. But he takes a key-laden kick to the stomach, being thrown against a tree. He questions the impulsive decision, but receives only silence as a response. I usually didn't answer questions during training, but this time it was different. She had never tried to kill him before, and her pressure was suffocating. The boy could barely block his punches, being swallowed up by the flood of attacks. He tries to gain the distance by jumping back, but is immediately chased, without the right to rest. The clams from the commotion of the blades resound in the forest, demonstrating everything I had learned so far. His master incorporates the scabbard and martial arts into his fighting style. The first, if imbibed with qi, could easily break human bones. The boy adopts the same style to reduce the impact of the blows, but his attack was only denser. He easily perceived the difference in level between the two. He then takes a whack of flavor to the side, forcing him to concentrate the kai in that area to cushion the impact. He manages to dodge the next attack in time. But he was still stunned, and his teacher takes advantage of the opening to hit the vital points, throwing him. Shallow techniques wouldn't work on him. He enjoys an opportunity and shoots a phantom sword, his most reliable attack, but to his surprise, if not completely nullifies the blow with his own phantom blade. This makes him totally exposed. If you don't cut it, do the blood first. He falls to the floor, almost ready to give up. But then, his teacher orders him to release his ability to suppress, saying that only then could he overcome it. He remembers that dream. I didn't know if it was soul or something else, but it was also successful because of the ability to suppress it. If the chains were torn, the Dragon King Teyamata would also throw himself, with that unshakable will and those eyes full of spite. She calls him hesitantly and continues the attack. His point of view is weakening. The audience is failing. The limbs lose sensitivity, as if sinking into a cold sea. There was no doubt, he was on the verge of death. In his supposed last moments, he thinks that if it was at the hand of his teacher, maybe everything was fine, but he wonders why she seemed about to cry. She interrupts his thoughts, confessing that he will die soon. He scolds her, asking why she didn't tell earlier. They might have found a solution. But he says the two are incredibly similar. Both fled after being betrayed and ridiculed. He didn't want to meet anyone else, and he didn't care if he died, there was nothing. But after decades isolated in the woods, she met him. Unlike her, he did not stop living. At first, it bothered him how much he remembered himself. But he realized that something was missing in him. She asks for one last selfish request, something she wanted to leave someone after so many years on the run. Something I could only tell him. With tears dripping, she asks if she would accept his last will. No Somo is speechless. I knew I couldn't convince her to give up. He always ran away from everything. But if he ran away from the master's desire now, he would regret it forever. She breaks her chains with new determination, and promises not to let, if she doesn't make that expression because of him. And then he is confronted again by the Dragon King, but he is released far without resistance. He is completely at a disadvantage. Still, he doesn't intend to go down without a fight. With the indomitable, he rises again. Remembering the painful expression of the master, he advances directly against the dragon's fireball, losing the whole right side. Jump at the creature, sacrificing the lower half of the body. There, you find the dragon's core. By touching it, it releases all its killer dragon potential. His power explodes absurdly. Liria Asino, who rejoices that he has mastered this force without being crushed by it. But he does not feel that if it does not end soon, he will die or Taimata will be resurrected. And so, the second round begins. This is followed by an even more intense shock. Although if he didn't have more technique, his power was second to none. Overpowered, she sends her foolish disciple to treat a lady more kindly. He replies not to see any girl to be treated with care. She responds by saying that he does not understand a woman's heart, and therefore was abandoned by his girlfriend. He is offended and countered by calling her a whore who lives hidden in the forest. It makes him angry, and she says he needs to change this attitude if he doesn't want to trap her until she can't take it anymore. Between the provocations, the fight goes on. She pulls him down with a compressed chi attack and assumes the phantom blade pose. By shooting it, he orders this enemy of women to die. Elegantly, he cancels out the blow with his own phantom blade. She is pleasantly surprised that he has evolved in the middle of a deadly fight. In a simultaneous attack, both carry a devastating blow, destroying the floor. They get into a perfect rhythm, mirroring every move in a dance duel to the death. At the height, Chino is satisfied with the growth of the child in less than 2 advanced, more than almost everyone on the mainland, managing to accompany her without difficulty. In the final confrontation, they both concentrate their ayak and reverse with one last phantom blade, destroying your swords. But in the end, if she does not succumb to the disease, and falls into the saddle her power, and runs to her, worried. She praises him for getting stronger and says he has nothing more to teach about the sword. He declares that he is happy that she accepted his last request from this old lady and understood his feelings. While resting in her arms, with tears in her eyes, she regrets not having taught how to train her heart. Due to the difficulty of communicating without being through the sword, he leaves her one last message, that there is no problem to escape. But the important thing is not to divert her eyes from the reality she has chosen to avoid. Because forget that and get stuck, he'll never be able to move on. But as long as he doesn't, he will always find a way to continue, sobbing to the disciple of his word. Satisfied and proud, she says to God, he is grateful for everything and buries her with dignity. With a calm and determined look, he leaves for his next destination.